Well, back from Cornwall now, back to the workshop. So what we're going to do next, I think I might try and design something so I can take my kayak with us on our trips. So obviously it won't fit inside, so the only other place to put it is on the roof, which will involve a roof rack. Now I already have a roof rack. I bought a roof rack early on in the build. It's never been fitted though, so I think that's the first thing to do now. As you can see, we've got the roof rack on now. That was a pretty straightforward job, apart from, although the roof rack wasn't encroaching on the opening for the skylight, the roof rack bars were slightly too low. So the top of the cover for the skylight was sticking out over the top just a little bit, but was enough to maybe get damaged when you slide the frame on. So what I've done is I've put blocks on each corner to raise it up 36mm. That's the size of the blocks, and as you can see now, there is plenty gap over the top of the skylight. So we'll get on and make the frame now. The problem is going to be how to get the kayak onto the roof rack without damaging either the van or the kayak. This is a Citroen Relay long wheelbase high roof, and I've just measured it, and the top of the roof rack is just over 8.5 feet from the ground. And to do this on your own, because there won't always be someone there to help me, it's going to be a bit of a task. I'm thinking of some sort of framework so that you can secure the kayak into the framework. Then it will be easier to stand it on its end rather than try to stand it on a pointy part of a kayak and then slide it onto the roof rack. I've got the outside frame made now. It will need tweaking to get the kayak to fit. I'll probably have to add some other things onto it which I haven't worked out yet, but that's the outside frame. It's 8 feet long by 27 inches wide. To do this, I've used pocket joints. The only other thing I would say is, when you're going to do a joint on a bit of wood like that, you want the fixings to go 90 degrees into the grain of the wood. Now the grain of the wood runs long ways, so you want it to go like that. That's the holes that I've done, and it goes that way. Pocket joints are supposed to be the strongest joints. Again, I'm not a joiner, that's what I've heard. So you put it that way. What you don't want to do is put it that way, so that when you put the screws through, the screws would then be running along the grain of the wood. That's not as strong. What you want to do is that way. So there's the tip for today. Unfortunately, the kayak isn't kept in the workshop. It's at my house about 6 miles away. So I couldn't take measurements or check anything when I was doing the frame, but I've done that now, and the kayak has got 2 ridges that run the length of the kayak, and it's also got drainage holes. So what I was thinking was, I took this home, took some measurements, and this is nearly exactly the width of the channels in the bottom of the kayak. So I've measured it and put these 2 dowels in to go through the draining holes, which will stop the kayak from twisting on the frame. And then I made some marks, I don't know if you can see, and marked it up on the frame with the kayak to position it. And all I have to do now is to screw this to the frame. I'll put another dowel that side to keep it level, but this will keep the kayak straight. So all we've got to do now is I've added another cross piece here, and I'm just about to finish the last one. This cross piece hasn't been screwed in yet, so I'll flip it over and show you how I do that. Okay, I've flipped it over now so that all the securing holes will be on the underside and won't be seen. I know it's on the roof of your van and it's not going to be seen anyway, but I just into that sort of habit. The holes for the pocket joints are pre-drilled now, so all I have to do is to secure it. And what I do, I put a block of wood underneath which keeps this part of the wood level with this part, and then I put this in here already pre-marked and make it a tight fit, and then I put a piece of wood on that side and then I clamp both together so that they should both be level. So that's what we do. We put a glue in first and then just put the screws in. I just thought you're probably wondering why the dowels are so long. They're not so long, they just haven't been cut off yet. I'm going to wait till the kayak is in before I cut them off to length. They're obviously not going to be anywhere near as long as that. And the dowels, by the way, were off my brush handle. I don't have a brush anymore. But coincidence would have it, they were virtually exactly the right size. So I need a new brush. Well, I've had a bit of a break from the kayak frame. I've had other things to do. It's probably been about 3 weeks since I've done anything on it. I've changed a couple of things, and forgive me if I'm telling you things I've already told you, because I can't remember what I filmed and what I haven't filmed. We've given it a lick of paint now to protect it from the weather, and I'll try and explain the things I've changed. This is going to be quite difficult to explain. I hope you understand what I mean. I'm not sure the best way to explain it. There is a balance point. When that's the roof of the van and you're pushing it up, you have to keep the front of it up until you get to a balance point. Now if you let it, once you get it past that black mark there, it becomes too heavy to keep the back down. And unfortunately it wasn't long enough, so when you let it come down, it wasn't hitting the front roof rack bar. So I've put a couple of extensions on the front to allow for that. So now when you get to that black tape mark, and you lower it down gently, the other roof rack bar is there, and that's a taper in case you're slightly short, so that it helps it go onto it. And now that works fine. Also, what I've done, this black piece I've added, once that hits the top part of the roof rack, you just need to slide it forwards and the roof rack bar goes into there. And there's two, there's one that side, one this side, and they're not only located straight on the roof, once it's tied at that end, that now can't lift because the bar is there and that is preventing this to lift. So if you are going on a little short journey you would only need to put one strap on. I did try this August bank holiday, which was, as I say, about 3 weeks ago. Before it was painted or anything like that, I gave it a little try just to see if it would work. And I travelled about 200 miles. So I had 3 straps on, just to be on the safe side. But it worked absolutely fine. It never moved. There was no bangs, there was no rattles. It worked fine. If I was just going a couple of miles, I would probably only put 1 strap on, because it feels very tight when you do it. I am going to film me loading and unloading it at the end of the video. So hopefully that'll make sense to you when you see it. I've also put, I don't know if you can see that, little metal L shapes, just to, not on every joint, just on the main 90 degrees front and back, just to give it a bit extra strength. So I've just had a thought that with me saying you would only need 1 strap on if you only go on a short distance, you, if you make your own, would have to decide whether you thought it was safe enough. I think it's safe enough, but I can't be held responsible for your trips. So you make sure and you do all your own checks, and if you think it's safe, then you only put 1 strap on. If you don't, put more straps on. I don't want to be held liable for your frame or kayak falling off your roof. That's all the talking. Now you really need a demonstration. Well, I hope it all became clear there when you could see it working. It's much easier than trying to explain what to do. If there was any part of it you didn't understand or you've got any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. And leave me a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you would have done it any differently. If you did enjoy it, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified of any new videos. All to do now is to thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.